Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I am Adrian Atkinson. It is often said that a dream doesn't become a reality overnight. It takes hard work, determination, dedication, and sweat to manifest. Coming up in this week's program, the chairman and the managing director of the Factories Corporation of Jamaica join us on Issues and Answers. They will be discussing how the FCJ restructured its organization to meet the tasks set by the government. We have this and other stories within the half hour. Stay tuned. Creating job opportunities and investments is the mandate given to the Factories Corporation of Jamaica by the Prime Minister. Ian Boyne sits with the corporation's chairman to discuss how that mandate is being met.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we want to talk about employment, we want to talk about the provision of factory space, we want to talk about economic growth. Big plans are in the offing by the Factories Corporation of Jamaica. There is a major project in Morantby, St. Thomas, another big project in Nago Head, St. Catherine. Other exciting things happening. And we have with us today two gentlemen from the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, the Managing Director, Dr. Donald Farquharson, as well as the Chairman of the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, Littleton Tanny Shirley. And they'll be talking to us about the FCJ and the significant developments where the FCJ is concerned. I'm Ian Boyne, and I thank you for your company. Gentlemen, good to have you on the show. I want to start with you, Tanny. If you could just set out for us this rebranding of the Factories Corporation of Jamaica. You've been chairman now for a year. What has been achieved in terms of the restructuring of the FCJ, and how have you managed to move the FCJ along?
Well, Ian, thanks for having us. It was simple. We followed the mandate of the Minister of Economic Growth, the Honorable Prime Minister, who gave us a task, and that task was to create job opportunity, create investment, and we look at the structure that was in place. How do we use a structure to create the requirement in terms of that mandate? And we felt that there were gaps. Therefore, we look at how do we fill those gaps in the short run. And part of those gaps is get persons to be job fit. Bringing a competent leadership from the first. So the task was to bring in an experienced managing director, one who had a wide knowledge of leadership, engineering background, and therefore we then look internally. What are the gaps as it relates to how FCJ were previously seen?
So you look at processes
right.
and so on, yeah.
And they were set up, they required structure that would fall in government guidelines, proper procurement, proper accounting structure, proper legal structure, proper processes that would allow to assess the job you do. For instance, how do you ensure that you're spending government funds in appropriate manner? You're getting value for money. You're following government procurement guidelines. You are ensuring that you are spending money for the right things to have the proper return on your investments. So those things we looked at and we addressed them in a short order.
Because the Auditor General had raised concerns about the FCJ in a report, and your board has looked at the report carefully, one would suspect, and has tried to deal with those deficits.
Definitely. And those, as you would have known, were very concerned, I would say, in a nutshell, damning report that...
And you have addressed the salient points of that report?
I would say that we have addressed 100% of those concerns.
100% of those concerns?
Have been addressed. And we have gone beyond that. We have now looked not only to address those concerns, but how you rebrand Factories Corporation to make it look in the public eyes as being a proper and fit agency of the Prime Minister's Office of Economic Growth and Job Creation. We wanted Jamaica to know about what we do and how we do it and what our intentions are.
Yes.
And to do so, we had to be credible. And to be credible, you have to ensure that you stand up and defend what you do at any time and at all costs.
Yeah.
And therefore, we bring around a rebranding to the staff. And I must say the staff adopted, both new and old staff, came together. Yes. And we have now, proudly say, we have a strong organization that support the mandate of what we do.
Yes. And what have been the kinds of concrete results? For example, like in terms of your financials, have you moved away from deficit? Give us some concrete figures to show. I would say we have moved from a minus $90 million deficit to a plus $200 million profit in the 1 year period. In the 1 year period?
Right. We have moved rental space from 66% to 100%. In small industrial complexes.
Yes. You're fully booked out.
We are fully, and we are getting requests now at average about 12 requests per day for space.
Is that
so once we have addressed the fundamental structure, we are now on a trajectory to create new space based off the demand and the confidence that the public is giving into FCJ now as a place to do business and seek location.
Yes. MD, you have a strong background in engineering. You had worked, you had been CEO at KPH, worked also at JPS. Dealt with some significant management challenges. What has been your focus? I want to take the break. When we come back, I want to look to see how you have gone about the task of really helping to restructure the FCJ to ensure that it plays the significant role that it has in terms of job creation, the provision of factory space, and the attraction of investments. Both the Managing Director and the Chairman of the Factories Corporation of Jamaica are guests on Issues and Answers. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
We want a productive Jamaica. We all are productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity, free a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
We're looking at the work of the Factories Corporation of Jamaica. It has a significant work in terms of providing jobs, attracting investments, providing factory space. With us is the Managing Director, Dr. Donald Farquharson, and the Chairman, Littleton Tanny Shirley. And at the break, Don had raised the issue of your own approach to the FCJ and what were some of the early objectives that you would set yourself?
Okay, thank you very much for having us, Aeon. I think the first thing the board did was mandated me to do a couple things. I think the first thing was improve governance and management control. To do that, it meant bringing in a certain capabilities within the organization which was not existing. So at the board level, there was no corporate secretary. We have recruited and put in place a corporate secretary. We did not have an internal auditor. We have recruited and have put in place an internal auditor. We went through a program of looking at our policies and procedures to ensure that they were strengthened. For instance, we did not have a procurement department. We have subsequently instituted a procurement department. We have looked at the internal procurement processes. We have revisited them. We have rewritten a couple. We have recruited a procurement manager and a procurement officer. So we now have a procurement department with 3 officers. We used to do procurement in a very distributed way where each department was procuring their products and services. We have just centralized that to the head office now, which means significantly more control and ensuring that value is created in all instances.
And you would expect significant savings through that.
Significant savings. So as just mentioned by the chairman, we not only saw a significant improvement in profit, but we saw a reduction of close to $250 million in our expenditures over that said period. So while we saw sales moving significantly by over 108 million, we saw a reduction in expenditures. We employed, for instance, a quantity surveyor. We put in place a planning and development department. We said if we were an engineering company, you had to ensure that your designs, your quantities were so done at a high level to ensure that you're actually spending the monies that you have in a very efficient way. So we believe that the technical resources now that we now have on the ground is creating those quantities which allow us to be purchasing the supplier's service at a greater level. The board had also identified the issue of the strong asset base that the company has. We have about $10 billion worth of fixed asset, and we have another $1.2 billion cash in hand. So our mandate of providing space over the last 5 to 10 years, we really have not built any additional space. So I believe for the next 12 months, the mandate of the chairman and his board is that one, you're not a bank. We're not expecting you to be holding $1.2 billion. You need to spend it. And the $10 billion of assets that you have, you need to optimize it. You need to create better value from those assets. And I believe over the last 12 months, the board and the new management have really created, I'm sure Chairman would speak to a couple of the flagship enterprise projects, 3 of which, Nagazet, as you have mentioned, Goodyear and Garmex redevelopment. So coming out of those projects, we are expecting that we will leverage the assets that we have and better spend the cash that we have in hand.
Yes. What sort of responses have you been having from the private sector since your restructuring and rebranding? Is the private sector showing interest in FCJ?
Tremendous response. As the chairman has said, we have already moved our occupancy level in our 100%? Small industrial complexes from 66 to 100%. In the last week, we invited over 30-odd private sector entities to meet with us. The responses was virtually 100%. And I would say the zeal, the energy, the demand that they're putting on us is reflective that they want us to be successful and they want us to respond to their need. I will also explain too that we have met with the GMA and have already made some commitments to small businesses in the island that we will be establishing space to facilitate small businesses. We believe that, as they say, small businesses are big business. So we have made that commitment, and over the next 6 months to 12 months, I believe the board and the management is going to work to fulfill that commitment.
Chairman, I want to close with you. We have just about a minute. It is clear that you are passionate about FCJ and your task. Why do you see your task in such passionate terms? Why do you think it's important what you're doing?
Because part of leadership, you have to set examples. You have to have confidence in what you do. You have to have a passion for what you do. And certainly this passion will have effect on your staff. And they need to have a passion in order to make things work, particularly in government agencies where people believe that government can't run businesses, which is a false...
you want to prove otherwise.
Of course. I believe you have some of the best public sector workers. The problem that they're always laden with ideas that people telling them what they can't do.
Okay.
And I think if you come to the table and encourage them to believe what they can do, you'll see a total different public sector entity. And that's what we are trying to do.
Good. Well, these gentlemen are going to be back because they need time to talk about the flagship projects. We need time to talk about what's going to be happening in Morant Bay, in Nago Head, and in other places like that. So we're going to invite them back to speak on these issues. We have spoken to the Managing Director of the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, Dr. Donald Farquharson, and the Chairman, Littleton Tanny Shirley. So we're going to be back next week. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a very pleasant day.
Farmers across Jamaica, listen to this. Beet armyworms favor areas with high temperatures and good food supply like scallions and onions. Here are some tips on how to protect your crops from this ambush. Rotate crops, destroy all infested material, and plow damaged fields. Hand-pick and destroy eggs and tiny beet armyworms. Preserve combat fighters to help you fight armyworms. Use approved insecticides when treating crops. For information, contact your nearest RADA office or the RADA toll-free line at 1-888-ASK-RADA. That's 1-888-275-7232. Or contact the Research and Development Division Plant Protection Unit at Bodles in St. Catherine at 983-2267 or 983-2281.
Since its inception, the promotion of regional opportunities for produce through enterprises and linkages Propel project has been assisting farmers to become more efficient producers through the use of science and technology and best management practices. Take a look.
Getting farmers to produce more, adopting best practice methods, and becoming more efficient and sustainable. The Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries has aligned itself with partners to grow the agriculture sector. One of those partners is the World University Service of Canada, WUSC Caribbean. They have been providing resources and technical support to small and medium-scale producers in order to boost agricultural outputs in 5 targeted crops. These are Irish and sweet potato, onion, ginger, and sweet yam. The work is being done through the promotion of regional opportunities for produce through enterprises and linkages Propel project. The 5-year project, which started in 2013, also provides assistance to establish market linkages.
We want holistic, integrated approaches between all the different actors in the marketplace.
Propel as a support entity, helping farmers to produce and also to produce quality products, has helped us as a marketing company to be able to push marketable goods into the supermarkets, the wholesales, into the restaurant areas, into food service, in the hotel industry.
We are targeting a total of 5,000 farmers in Jamaica by the end of the project. We are very close to 3,000 and we are profiling all those farmers. By the end of March next year, we hope to have about 3,500, and by 2018, when we leave, about 5,000.
Jamaica is one of 5 Caribbean countries where the $1.9 billion project is being implemented. The others are Barbados, Dominica, Guyana, and St. Lucia. To help them care for the crops, farmers are given training in when to spray, what chemical to use, and how to protect themselves.
The day you plant your potatoes, you'll have spent 70% of all your money. And if you don't care it well for the next 12 weeks, you could lose everything.
The training has also built the capacity of farmers who are now providing the service to other farms.
We were able to provide 9 of these guys with pumps, overalls, water boots, and they're now experimenting running their own business, providing service to the other farmers.
Training was provided by the Rural Agricultural Development Authority and Level 1 certification by the Heart Trust NTA.
I love it. I feel like a professional already. You understand? So I just wanted to take each step at a time and go forward.
Through the Propel project, farmers are introduced to new technologies that will allow them to reduce production cost, become more efficient, and produce more. This includes plastic mulch, which is a weed control method, and micro-greenhouse technology applications. Manual reaping time of potato will also reduce significantly with the introduction of a harvesting machine.
From what I'm seeing, it is quite satisfactory to me because it is my intention now to make sure I get one of these machines because I'll be able to plant more potato and I would see a better income for myself.
Minister without portfolio in the Agriculture Ministry, J.C. Hutchinson, was in Manchester for the demonstration of the harvesting machine and acknowledged the work being carried out under the Propel project.
It's one where I think we are going to have to look to see if we can expand that, we get more equipment like that. This technology here is one where you see that it not only facilitates the cutting down on the growth of weeds, which also eliminates quite a lot of the labor. And by doing that, you are also putting more money in your pocket.
The area of research and development is also being strengthened under the Propel project. In May 2016, a Memorandum of Understanding was signed between World University Service of Canada WUSC and the Scientific Research Council SRC. That agreement will build the SRC's capacity to produce clean planting materials for Irish potato, ginger, sweet yam, and sweet potato. The agency will be able to supply farmers and companies with virus-free plants and to identify and analyze natural predation for biological control of pests and diseases. There is also partnership with Bodle's Research Station for clean planting materials for ginger. By bringing the different stakeholders on board, the project is creating a sustainable output of planting materials to aid farmers in their production, which should ultimately lead to a steady distribution of produce.
We target the sector. We don't target farmers in particular. We provide stimulus, we provide catalyst to the entire sector for it to move from where it is to where it would like to be. So we don't talk about Propel without talking about SRC, without talking about Bodles, without talking about the Ministry of Agriculture, without talking about RADA.
Mr. Prasad says he is pleased with the strides Jamaica has made with the project.
I'm really very satisfied. Jamaica, for our $87 million that has been contributed so far, I think Jamaica has contributed close to 40 million of that. I mean, I don't have the exact figure, but in terms of production that has reached the high value market, Jamaica has contributed close to 40 million of that. In terms of research and development, in terms of linkages, in terms of getting all people on board to say how do we solve the issues, Jamaica is way ahead of the game.
Diseases spread. Wash your hands with soap and water instead. Wash them regular or use a hand sanitizer. Make sure the germs them dead. Touching your eyes or your mouth or your nose. Wash your hands before you do things like those. After you use the bathroom before preparing food, come on, wash your hand them clean.
Leptospirosis is an infectious disease caused by the Leptospira bacteria, which is transmitted to humans from domestic animals such as dogs, as well as rodents. The disease is transmitted when you swallow contaminated food or water or through contact with the eyes, nose, and cuts on the skin. To prevent infection, do not swim in floodwaters or consume foods that might have been contaminated with animal urine. Children are more susceptible to the disease, so ensure that they do not take part in any of these activities. In 90% of cases, leptospirosis only causes mild flu symptoms, such as headache, fever, muscle aches, and chills. It can also result in vomiting, jaundice, diarrhea, rash, and abdominal pains. If the disease is not treated, the person can develop kidney damage, meningitis, liver failure, and respiratory distress, and in rare cases, death. Protect yourself and your families as we aim to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Speeding through life and the traffic lights till somebody get hurt and the tears start cry. Save a life for the kids, for you and I, save kids' lives. Make the road safe whether day or night, for pedestrians, passengers, cars and bikes. Save a life for the kids, for you and I, save kids' lives.
Hey man, it's our job to keep the road them safe. Have to take care of the youth them so we know them safe. And obey the road code, don't race. No bother with the speeding, cause make face. And check your light them at your tires and brakes. Riders on the pillions who left the helmet. I put on the cell phone, no send no text. No matter what color they on your plate.
When you're on the road, take your time. When you're on the road, bear this in mind. When you're on the road, you can save a life. When you're on the road, when you're on the road, I beg you please be safe. Wear your seatbelt for keep you safe, and make sure your helmet's in place when you're on the road.
Hey, follow me. Well, everybody drive good and walk good. Then teach the youth them how to cross good. I beg you obey the road signs, park good. And put the young ones in a car seats, all good. And everybody drive good and walk good. And we say young and old, I beg you cross good. Remember the dark close at night, that is not good. From you I use up the sidewalk, it's all good.
When you're on the road, take your time. When you're on the road, bear this in mind. When you're on the road, you can save a life. When you're on the road, when you're on the road, I beg you please be safe. Wear your seatbelt to keep you safe, and make sure your helmet's in place when you're on the road. When you're on the road, when you're on the road.
Thanks for watching another episode of Jamaica Magazine. I hope you found our program informative. We appreciate your feedback, so send them to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. Take a trip to our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and stay informed on the go. You can also visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more information. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.